Yes, sir. It is a game week, Jalen. How you feeling, dog? It's a game week. It's College Football Showdown. Last week's episode went dummy. I'm excited to talk not only the college football playoff bracket, but I'm also excited to talk about some week zero predictions. And we'll probably end up doing that rapid fire style. But how you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good, really. Last night was a struggle, but yeah. I mean, I've been seeing some people watching college football games. I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't gonna go out my way to watch some of them games. Like, it was a couple like D3 games. I just like on the ESPN app. I was like, I really don't want to watch. Like, I saw some people like I saw who was it, Bordeaux. I was like, listen, I love college football, but I'm like I can't do all that.
Moon was live too.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, okay. He was watching college football too.
Yeah, he was live.
Yeah.
FCS in it. Have you seen? Speaking of the FCS, that the modders are just going crazy. They made an FCS 26 with all of the FCS schools. So shout out to that. I saw that. I immediately was like, yeah, I gotta retweet it. It's a non-negotiable. Yeah. So shout out to everybody who was holding it down. Moon was also live last week watching high school football. What's up?
Yeah, he was. Did you know it was an HBCU football game?
When yesterday?
No, like an HBCU football video game.
Like from back in the day?
Yeah, from like 2000.
Doug Williams. Doug Williams. Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I watched a TikTok yesterday or early this morning.
Delaware State. Speaking of HBCU football, was able to get a win late in the fourth quarter yesterday. So let's start this off. Let's get into our week zero predictions. 2K. How you feeling about 2K before we get into our predictions? I figured out some stuff today. I figured out a lot of stuff today.
It's cool. I mean, I'm glad it's not just me struggling. We all struggling at one point yesterday.
Slam Newton, what a prediction. NC State will be in the playoffs. I'll be at that NC State UVA game tomorrow. I'll be on the field. I have a feeling with their schedule, they have the ability to be in the ACC championship. But, games are played. It's not based on schedule. The games have to be played because I felt that way about Virginia Tech a few years ago. Rutgers was another team. I don't know if it was last year or the year before with a fairly easier schedule, but I do believe in CJ Bailey. But, everybody was struggling on 2K, but I figured out a lot of stuff. This game, it's sad that Ticino isn't playing it, but it's built for him. Like, it's all about midi fading. It is all about midi fading.
He want to start the midi fade.
And then, when you get your badges, I quick stop a lot. Why do I have limitless? I don't take another limitless shot. So I figured out a bunch of stuff today. I'm excited to play some Team 2K later. But without further ado, let's get into this week zero games. Rapid fire style. First game kicking off the college football season at the FBS level. Live from Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland. We have UNC versus TCU. We remember this game last year was BTA. It was extremely bad a year ago. How do you think both of these teams will fare this year? It's a lot of newness in Fort Worth. It's some newness as well in Chapel Hill. How do you think this game will fare? Who do you got winning this one?
Honestly, like, this game could be BTA again. If we being like UNC, I don't like UNC. I don't like Bill Belichick being the head coach in college. One, he isn't a good college head coach. Two, Billy Elver Jr. is their quarterback. They went from a quarterback that suffered from season-ending injuries. Last season or something like that? Who was Max Johnson, right?
And Gio Lopez.
Yeah, Gio Lopez
now,
as well.
Now the starting quarterback in Winston-Salem. He's at Wake.
But UNC got Billy Evers Jr. Billy Evers Jr. I mean, his best season was 2 years ago, where he threw for 2,000, a little over 2,000 yards and 15 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, which is cool. He has experience. But I mean, you look at his wide receiver weapons. Jordan
Hmm.
Chip is one of the only ones. After
Yeah,
that, it's like somebody has to step up. Jordan Chip last year had what 671 yards, I think it was, and then 6 touchdowns.
and I like shit.
He, yeah, and he had nearly half of their touchdowns receiving last year. Like they had 13 receiving touchdowns last year. That's it. Um, yeah, Billy Edwards, I don't really trust him. The offensive line is they they don't have a lot of starts within the depth. Second string, third string. To me, those are really pivotal. I feel like most coaches view those as pivotal. They don't have many starts right there. Defensive line is probably, I would say, like maybe arguably the best position group when it comes to UNC. And then you look at TCU. They got Jaden Craig, transfer from Harvard, if I'm not mistaken. I thought I remember watching his tape uh, a while back because I remember I wanted him at Illinois. He was actually the quarterback I wanted at Illinois. I didn't really care for to get Caden Hauser. Like Jaden Craig was the quarterback I really wanted at Illinois. 48 touchdowns and 10 interceptions at Harvard. First team All Ivy League, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and then on top of that, it is going to be a new offense. They did lose. Goodness, why can't I think
Josh
of his
Hoover.
name? No, offensive coordinator last year. They lost him. Uh,
I just drew a break. Yeah, their whole system
Kendall
is
Browns,
changing
right?
this
Kendall
upcoming
Browns,
season.
right?
Yeah, Browse. Yeah, he's in
Um,
Columbia, South Carolina.
yeah, but they hired a UConn's old offensive coordinator as well. Um, what's his name? Samus. First name is drawing a blank. I got it written down actually. Why am I not looking at my note? Um, Gordon Samus. Gordon Samus. He was UConn offensive coordinator from what 2023 to 2025. Uh, so the offense will look a little bit different. What else do I have written down? Defensive line. That will be a big watch for this game because, as I say, UNC offensive line isn't as, I guess, battle tested, but the defensive line for TCU is pretty battle tested. They do have a bunch of starters. Do have a bunch of starts within the rotation coming back, including the second string and third string. I believe they have they have 23 players rostered between defensive tackle and defensive end. So it's arguably their deepest group. Their offensive line is also revamped. Well, not revamped. They returned two key starters, Bennett and Taylor Whitfield. Gosh dang, I don't know why I forget about both of the first names. Then they bring in a transfer as well, offensive lineman from Oklahoma State, who was pretty dang good last year. So yeah, this honestly, I'm kind of expecting not BTA, but they're gonna you know put a hand on the backside at least something like that. Also, you
Great
mute.
breakdown,
Oh,
Matt.
okay, okay,
Great,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Nah, I'm muting to prevent the echo. Great breakdown, and I agree with a lot of what you said. Except, I think Billy Edwards kind of gets a bad knock. But when you think about his collegiate career, some of it to his own undoing, he's never had the same offensive coordinator back to back years because all Mike Locksley has done in College Park is play musical chairs with offensive coordinator. He's an offensive coordinator himself, so he's probably never going to be satisfied with who they have at offensive coordinator. We even see Luke Fickell change systems, during his tenure in Wisconsin, and now he's here. I have always liked Billy Edwards more than probably everybody else at CFB Nation. There was something I saw in him at the 2023 spring game when they still
He had a
had
he had a bowl game
tours.
too that was like good, right, or something like that.
Was it against
I don't
Auburn?
remember. Oh no, he had like
What
a
was it
bowl
against?
game or something,
Yeah, I
didn't
want I
he?
want to say you're correct. So I've always liked the intangibles. I've always liked his abilities. It just really shows up. But he did have a decent season in Maryland. And then looking on the other side of the ball, I think Sonny Dykes still has a lot to prove to everyone. I'm not saying that he owes anybody anything. He's done a lot of winning during his tenure in Fort Worth, but I think the Josh Hoover situation really made him sour. We saw the soundbite that was played around the world a few months ago when he was talking about the amount of interceptions that Hoover threw. But I think in his system, you look at what Joe Fagano was able to do in this UConn system a season ago with Gordon Samuels, and you look at the cerebral aspect of it. He only threw, one interception a season ago. I think, it'll be difficult to duplicate that in TCU because of just the way that the conference is. He's going to have to find, Jaden Craig is going to have to find a way to win games. I'm not going to say he's not going to just throw one interception like Fagano did, but would it surprise me in this system, in this scheme where it's predicated on ending the drive and the kick, like if he threw less than 6 interceptions, it wouldn't surprise me at all because they want to be physical at the point of attack to be able to set up that pass game. I think this game is closer than most expect. The reason being is because it isn't on U.S. soil. It is overseas, and the team that prepares the best handles it the best. Like some teams go over there and then they're doing everything locally, whatever sport that they play in, they're practicing that. We've seen a bunch of behind the scenes for this double series that they've been doing for quite a while now. But whatever team is the best prepared will look the best early in this game. And we've seen some upsets in this game as well. That's some really good games. The Kansas State-Iowa State game was good. The year before that, we had Georgia Tech versus FSU, Navy, and Notre Dame. I think it was the year before that. That wasn't a close game, but it was just, still an interesting game. So, yes, ultimately, I think TCU wins, but because this isn't on U.S. soil and the preparation is different, I'm going to say this game is probably closer than most people expect, but still give me TCU.
Yeah, I'm taking TCU as well. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's obvious. Like, UNC 3 wins this season.
Does Belichick get fired if that happens?
He should have got fired last year, but
we agree. But how do you fire him? How do you fire him? Like, this is your guy. He brung his guys. Brung his son, brung his own GM.
We know you good. Go to the NFL or retire. That's what I would say if I was AD or something like that. Appreciate you being here. You're done.
I agree with you, but that is easier said than done. Let's move on to our 3 p.m. slate Eastern Standard Time. We got San Jose State at USC. That's at the Coliseum. Talk to me about this one. This one should be pretty much straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both can agree USC probably will dominate this game. Did they play? I feel like they play often. Didn't they play a couple years ago with Caleb Williams and was that Zachariah Branch who had a breakout game or his first game in college football? He had like a punt return.
That sounds about right. I remember the game you're talking about. I don't remember if it was versus San Jose State, but yeah, because of the locale, it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty straightforward. I mean, USC should come out and dominate. I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, we both. No, I had them win the Big Ten. You did not have them win the Big Ten. You were scared to put them as a Big Ten winner. Yeah, I mean, I think this just come out, set the tone. San Jose State, they might compete for a quarter, but after if San Jose does end up competing for a while, it won't be for too long. I think after about midway through the second quarter, we should see USC pull away, and by the time the fourth quarter comes, they should have the second string game.
From a production perspective, you looked at what Walker Egat and Danny Scudero was able to do last year. I think everybody kind of knew they wouldn't be able to retain those players just because that's just what happens at the G6 level. Yeah, this one should be one of those games. Mayav will probably be out by halftime, and at halftime, he's probably looking at damn near perfect quarterback rating, probably like 200 to 300 yards and probably a handful of touchdowns.
13 for 16.
Yeah. This is one of those games. But I'm gonna tell you who's gonna want to set the tone is Gary Patterson as their defense coordinator. He's gonna want to set that tone early. I would expect blitzes early. But yeah, you and I both agree here. This was the easiest game to pick of the week. Now we had a big enchilada, in my opinion, with this game of the week in Charlottesville, Virginia, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Scott Stadium. Yes, the governor will be there. I will be there on the sidelines. Full effect. Can't wait. It starts at 3:30. I'm leaving my house around 11:30 in anticipation for getting there around 1 and parking in a media parking lot, taking a shuttle to Scott Stadium. It'll be my first time there. I'm excited to see what that looks like. I think this is probably the hardest game to call, probably this week, maybe even next week. One of the hardest games to call is these two teams. Look at what UVA was able to do a season ago. Had arguably the best, storm the field that we've ever seen, ever. When you think about how quickly they was able to, versus Florida State last year. So there's a lot to like about both of these teams, but you and I are both big on CJ Bailey. We're big on what, we believe NC State can do this year. So give me your thoughts about this game. Let me mute myself real quick, and I'm going to put this comment back up so people can see it.
Okay. Honestly, just thinking about it, this is probably going to be one of the most important games for both of these teams, in my opinion. This could come out and set the tone for either team. Really, when you think about it, especially for NC State, against good teams, but they struggled at times last year, especially CJ Bailey, against the two ranked teams they played was Notre Dame and I forget the other ranked team they played, but Notre Dame, if I'm not mistaken, had 2 interceptions last year. He didn't really play good, and why am I blanking on the other team he played last year that was a ranked opponent, supposed to be really good, but. Yeah, he kind of struggled. I'm expecting this to be a tone-setting matchup. Whoever wins this should feel good about themselves going into the ACC, no matter who they have in front of them. This is gonna be one of them important games where you look in late November, 2 weeks left. You dang, if they would have won this game, they would be here. This could be possibly one of them games. I feel like for both of these teams, this is not the most important part of the season, but at least for the early half, the most important part of the season, because I feel like if you lose this game, whoever loses the game is behind the 8 ball. I feel like it's that simple.
I think when you look at the ACC in total, you say, alrighty, it's a sprint for Miami, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a marathon for the rest of the teams. It is a marathon, and this game has such importance to it. And I want to touch on something here. I've heard a lot of people that we respect in this industry say that week 0 isn't a real week. I want to get your opinions on that.
I mean, I can see it from the aspect of them saying there is a whole bunch of ranked matchups. It is a whole bunch of great matchups. But at least week 0, they always have at least 1 or 2 games that's interesting. And that's usually conference. If not conference, then usually it's at least 1 conference matchup. Usually and we getting 2 this year. I don't remember last year, the year before, but in my head, I can always remember.
You remember the year before. You remember the year before, and it's interesting because we really do love college football. Moon was watching the year before, 2024. We watched SMU versus Nevada. That was the Brennan Lewis game.
But that was that game.
So we've always loved week 0. The year before that, do you remember who it was? It might have been 2 years before that, in 2022. we got to see
that wasn't
Illinois versus Nebraska. Yeah, that was 2022. So, yes, I think there have always been games.
Champagne.
Yeah, you got me good. There were. I almost just said it, by the way. So, yeah, I think there have always been really good games. I think we've always been uber and caring about it. I went to a week 0 game last year. I had a few opportunities. Could have went to an FCS game between UC Davis and somebody else. We have a great relationship with UC Davis. Shout out to them. But I decided to go to the Southern versus North Carolina Central game for the MEAC SWAC challenge, and it was a really good game. So I've always loved week 0. I've always felt like it was a real week. But I do get what the masses are saying. Like, bro, like half of the teams that we love aren't playing. Well, I mean, if you love college football, we have real football, then I think you should be enjoying the game. So that's why I'm excited to get out here to Scott Field tomorrow. And arguably what could be game of the week, and we're not going to talk about it right now, that Memphis UNLV game is going to be a heavy weight battle at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We ain't going to talk about that just yet. Let's go ahead and get into this next game we have on our list at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is another heavy weight battle. I think this is a battle in which we got a team from the Conference USA, which is the weakest conference in all of the FBS. It is what it is. I said what I said. Versus North Dakota State, who is getting their introduction formally as an FBS team. How do you feel about this game? I feel like this is the game that we're going to disagree on. Talk to me.
What we going to disagree on? I mean, I think we both. You don't got North Dakota State winning? Is that what we're going to miss? Because I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, no, I don't have North Dakota State winning. And there's a kid by the name of Caden Creel as the reason I don't have North Dakota State winning.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like North Dakota State, we've seen them compete with Power 5 teams. I mean, they competed with Colorado 2 years ago. Dang, I'm mad they never got to play Oregon that 1 year. Of course, different teams, different players now. But we see the way North Dakota State plays. I feel like they play pretty sound football. They play football kind of like somewhat like an old Big Ten team. Not old Big Ten, like 2015, 2016 Big Ten West team. But they're better at moving the ball consistently. And I feel like that would cause problems in this game. So I have North Dakota State winning this game. But yeah, I thought you had North Dakota State winning as well.
I agree with you. When we look at teams that are truly ready for the transition from the FCS to the FBS, I think no conference does the transition phase better than Conference USA, but I think also the infrastructure and the overarching landscape of that conference is so weak. That's why we able to see Missouri State come in, bowl eligibility in year 1. We saw Delaware come in, bowl eligibility in year 1. I think Delaware's going to be damn good this year. Oh, by the way, I look at this game with teams with very similar philosophies. Jacksonville State looks like WVU about 16 years ago. When they had the not so great passer at quarterback, but dynamic running in a running game type quarterback. We've seen running backs
when they had
Caden Creel.
When West Virginia had
Pat White.
Yeah.
Pat White, yeah. When they had Pat White. So, and then defensively, they run that spread option offensively, and defensively they run a 3-3-5. And when you look at teams that when you lose a coach, that identity that remains the same, I think, is extremely important. And we see Jacksonville State was able to still keep that. Yeah, they were still able to keep that system. Whereas, you see USF is going to a complete different system. Now, granted, most of their players are new because a lot of them mass exodus to Auburn. But I think they have the system in place for success. So when I was looking at last week, like who will win this conference, I was feeling WKU at moments. I was feeling Delaware State. But the more I looked at Jacksonville State, their ability to run the ball, we know that in Fargo, North Dakota State is going to run the ball. They're going to play sound. That was paramount that you said that, because they play a really sound brand of football. They play a physical style of football as well. So it's going to be a damn good game. In Fargo, North Dakota State should have the edge. But I'm telling you, Kalen Creel can spoil their party. Because that kid last year in the past game didn't get it done. 9 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, but he had 1,000 yards on the ground. He is dynamic running the ball, and I feel like he could be the game changer on those 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 5s. If it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2 on the road, they're going to go for it. That's what Jacksonville State is going to do. So excited about this game, one of the best games of the day. I'm going to go with Jacksonville State for the upset. Alrighty, moving right along. At 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we got Sacramento State, another new team to the FBS in the MAC conference, and they get their MAC. This is their MAC introduction, right? Shout out to Max Crosby, the GM on the football side of operations for EMU. And how do you feel about this game overall? I think out of all the games we went over today, other than the USC game, I'm not sure if this was going to be particularly close. What you think?
So we both got EMU winning, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about Sacs. Like, of course, we've seen teams go from we've seen teams move from up to the FBS and everything and have success. I don't know how good Sac State will be year one FBS.
And this is been 3 years in a row they've had different coaches. You know, Brendan Marion came in as the head coach last year. We got my boy AC Carter as the head coach. Shout out to him. He retweeted a few of our tweets from this past week. So it's just a lot of newness, a lot of movement. And the MAC, do you think the MAC is a great conference for a transition like this?
No, for North Dakota State, yes. For Sacramento State, no. I feel like they should have went to I don't know if they could have. They should have tried to go to Pac-12, maybe Conference USA. I mean, I get, Conference USA kind of too far away, but I mean, they playing against a whole bunch of Midwest and East Coast teams. So, but I wish they would have tried to go to a little bit of a weaker conference than the MAC, because you still got Western Michigan, Miami of Ohio, and if you can't fare well against Eastern Michigan, I don't think things will go well against Central Michigan either.
Ohio has been really good. Even with Tim Albin leaving for Charlotte, they were still good this past year. So you look at the landscape of the MAC. Every game is a gritty game in that conference. And remember, we had that cluster of teams between right under 500, a game over 500, and at 500. And I'm looking at this conference like, damn, this is congested. Like, this is traffic I-95, right? At exit 140. You know what I'm saying? 143. And you know what I'm talking about if you live in VA. So I look at that and I say to myself, wow, I'm not sure if this conference is great for that type of transition. I just don't. Because Eddie George and Bowling Green, yes, they weren't bowl eligible last year, but they played really physically, and they were in a lot of those games that they lost. It was just having the ability to close a lot of those games. And correct me if I'm wrong, is Drew Pine the quarterback there this year? A guy with a lot of starting experience in the P4 level. So I'm excited for a lot of these teams. You mentioned WMU. WMU can win this conference. I just think it's Miami, Ohio's turn. And it is what it is. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think the MAC is, depending on the team, I don't think they're, maybe Sac State's Florida this year. I don't see bowl eligibility in their future, but maybe they can. And I will hope that they can be bowl eligible this upcoming year. So let's move on to our next game. I'm not muted, am I? All right.
Good talk.
At 7 p.m., we have a really difficult game to call. Was this a week 0 or a week 1 game a season ago? I believe this was a week 0 game a year ago as well. And we got introduced to the Micah Alejado experience. We got Hawaii versus Stanford, right? We see what Coach Chang is doing in Hawaii. And you can see that, like, this is the difference between programs who allow their coaches to really install what they're trying to do. Because if you went over the first couple of years, Hawaii wasn't very good. And they probably had reason to fire him based on the standards of most, but they knew that they had their guy. They knew they had their system in place to run and shoot, which they had a lot of success with. They got a guy, Michael Alejado. When you look at all of the preseason honors and the Pac-12 preseason offensive player of the year, he's pretty much been getting that. So talk to me about this game. This is a damn good game. And on the other side, we got Tavita Pritchard, new head coach for Stanford. I believe they have their guy. That's no disrespect to Frank Wright and what he was able to do last year on short notice, extreme short notice. But and seeing him at ACC Media Days, he's got it, and you were there with us at ACC Media Days. He's got a grittiness to him that I like. I'm not sure how quickly or how expeditiously you can get a turnaround, especially when the resources aren't plentiful. I feel like they should be plentiful, but they are not plentiful. I don't think they're even close to being plentiful. Talk to me. How you feeling about this game? Who you giving the edge to?
How I feel about this game? I looked at it, I was like, some of them was saying Stanford, ACC, big name, of course, but I think Hawaii would just come out more prepared. I think they'll be the better team through 2 hours of football. I think they'll be the better team through the whole game. Um, I don't know. Stanford just has a lot of work to do, in my opinion. Um, and the resources, yeah, that doesn't help anyone out. Like they penny pinching. I mean, ain't no surprise. I mean, but I guess you look at Stanford's history, they're not a sports school. They're a academic school, which I guess you could say the same about like a Duke maybe. But Duke is always, since the '90s been relevant in basketball at least. Um, but yeah, Stanford is more of an academic school. Bryce Love said, "Hey, I don't want to go to the NFL. I'm returning another year. I could have went to the NFL, and I'm gonna try to go be a doctor." And he did. But yeah. So yeah, but I'm choosing Hawaii in this game.
I'm with you 1,000%. I'm choosing Hawaii. And that's the thing when you are, when you look at it from a scholastics and an academia perspective, you say, hey, if we are a smart school, we put out a bunch of smart people, these smart people going to make a whole bunch of money. Why don't those smart people reinvest into where they got their education
those
from?
Smart people don't care about sports.
That's crazy. That to me, that's crazy. Like,
But when you think about it,
and I don't think that's as generalized as you think it is.
I don't think it is. Like when you think about it, it's just like you think about it, you just like, man, like Stanford, they're not they don't have this rich football history. They were good throughout the 2010s. They had like a few, maybe 2 years in the 2020s where they're kind of relevant. Um, Maybe they had a couple
Certainly
relevant
relevant in the
points.
80s.
Yeah. So but it's like I feel like certain teams you look at Alabama, yeah, the resources are plentiful. That's because they've been cheating since the Saban era. Um, Ohio State, same thing. It's the reason why some of these players end up getting these certain cars. Georgia, um, Ole Miss got busted a couple years back, like a decade back, paying Laramie Tunsil, Laquan Treadwell, and all them players. Um, I think Robert Nkadichi was also in that too as well. But I don't know, LSU, you know, we have no. I don't remember LSU getting in trouble for paying players, but listen, lots of those teams back in the day, 2000s, 2010s, lots of those teams was paying players. I feel like Stanford is the team. They kind of old school. They don't want to pay players. The 2000s, 2010s, they did, like, I don't think they really cared about paying players. They more built off a culture, which not saying that Alabama or Ohio State isn't, but they built off culture and money. Uh, Stanford is built off culture and grades.
It's always interesting that you hear places like, Blacksburg hasn't been a hotbed for recruiting. I always thought that what they did really well is they scouted the DMV really well, and they would find a guy, label him as, developmental or project, and they end up getting the ROI on that. Somebody like a Dorian Strong, how good he was for them a couple of years ago. He wasn't heavily recruited out of high school. But the moment you get James Franklin, the resources magically appear. And that's the thing that's frustrating to me with college football, because you said it 100% correct. Like, they penny pinching. Why? But I guarantee if they had a slam dunk hire, or if John Elway wanted to come coach, Stanford, all of a sudden, all of these smart people will be willing to invest in a program, because that's a name, that's a brand that they know for winning. As an executive, as a player with Denver, as a Stanford guy. Yeah, so like it breaks my heart seeing what happened to Brent Pry last year, and thank goodness he's still on that Virginia Tech squad. But like, they didn't have the resources to be successful, nor the coordinators to be successful. And then, alrighty, in comes James Franklin. We get a new AD who's football oriented. They even had a board, right, with like prestigious coaches and stuff that was on that board to help them make the right hire. And then all of a sudden, now the resources are plentiful in Blacksburg, and they're willing to invest and to spend money into the program. And somebody made like a $200 million pledge to the program. Mm-hmm. So to me, that is just real interesting how when you have your guy, then okay, yeah, we're willing to invest. So that's always been interesting to me. But I thought you did an outstanding job with that one, and we both have Hawaii winning. Oh, by the way, another 7 p.m. game, New Mexico State versus Florida State. I think this one will be pretty easy. Interesting to see what Florida State looks like nonetheless. But yes, we both got Florida State in that one. And let's get to one of the main enchiladas, right? Let's discuss this Memphis at UNLV game. This game will be a heavyweight battle of epic proportions. We're talking about a team in UNLV who opened up the season a year ago playing musical chairs at quarterback with Alex Orji and with Anthony Calandria. And I was wondering how would they do it, because this is something that, Dan Mullen was at Florida. Who else at Florida would play musical chairs at quarterback? Steve Spurrier. But Steve Spurrier would do it over a slew of a few games. I'm expecting Dan Mullen to do something similar to what he did last year. He's going to play them. They'll both get, whether it's a drive for a drive, 2 drives here, 2 drives there. And I'm talking about Jackson Arnold, and I'm talking about Alex Orji. And then I guess whoever gets a hot hand will play the rest of the game. So you have that philosophy. And if you remember, they played the team, I believe, in Idaho State last year. They started off extremely slow in the first half. Idaho State actually had the lead. I believe it was a week 0 game as well. And then you look at the team that they're playing, Charles Huff, who I had the chance to sit down with and have a discussion with at American Media Days. I'm excited for Memphis football. I told you something, and I'm going to go ahead and say it on here as well. It was no surprise that Marcus Stokes was named the starting quarterback. What he did at West Florida last year was incredible. I think they have their own miniature Trinidad Shambler story going on, and it's something that we need to continue to monitor. I feel for Aaron Norland. I don't like on Twitter. I understand joking and trolling and having a good time. I think there's certain areas you shouldn't troll. And, we will say stuff behind the scenes, like not on camera. Sometimes we will, say some stuff, and I'm like, damn, we probably shouldn't have said that. But people telling Aaron Nolan to hang it up, like, bro fought at every school. He just happens to, he thought at South Carolina, he thought, hey, all right, I come here, I learn the system. Lenore Sellers is going pro. He doesn't. And he goes to Memphis. He said, okay, I'm going to be the guy. And I told you when I was at American Media Days, I saw Will Smith, their offensive lineman. I saw Mike Montgomery. They both used Memphis in 2 or 3 different games. Aaron Nolan was the listed starting quarterback when the game first came out. They both put Marcus Stokes in. And that was something that I kind of back pocketed, never said anything about. And I told you yesterday we had a laugh about it. But to me, what that kid can bring to the offense versus on the other side, they're going to be playing musical chairs at quarterback. Orji and Arnold can both run the rock. I don't think you're losing much with either one of them in the game. I think Orji is more athletic. Jackson Arnold's a better passer from the pocket. You got one of the best running backs in the country in Jaden Jet Thomas. Talk to me how you feeling about this game overall. And I'm smelling an upset alert. I'm going to mute my mic and let you talk, though.
I feel like it's pretty similar to the game we talked with the NC State game earlier. This will be a tone setter for the beginning of the season. To 2 G5 schools that I think me and you can both see battling for a playoff for that G5 playoff spot. Yeah, like that. This is going to be one of the more important matchups, especially for UNLV. I think you look at it. Honestly, I don't think Alex Orgy starts. Well, he plays, of course, but I don't think he was there last year. Then you bring another quarterback, Jackson Arnold. On, I feel like if you thought he did it good enough last year, then you don't bring in another quarterback. But you did, so I feel like it's Jackson Arnold. Um, feel like they just haven't said anything yet, or you know, they're not expecting Jackson Arnold to really play bad this game. But yeah, this is gonna be a tone setter for both teams. I think you know who I have in my spot for the G5 playoff. Um, so yeah, with that being said, I'm choosing UNLV. I think you're going the Penny Hardaway route though.
The heartbreaking thing is I did my college football playoff selection like 2 weeks ago. I just never aired the episode. So it's like me and Jalen gonna talk about it. We'll talk about it there. UNLV is penciled in for my G6 spot as well. But I remember the game from last year where, yes, ultimately at the end of the game, they ended up winning pretty handedly against Idaho State. But I remember those struggles in the first half when they were playing musical chairs. Then they're going to do this against a head coach like Charles Huff and against a really good Memphis team, against a linebacker like Mike Montgomery, who's outstanding. He's a sideline-to-sideline linebacker who followed Coach Huff over here to Memphis. Marcus Stokes is must-see TV. If you've never seen him play before, look out for that. And then I just look at, one, it's not fair to UNLV. I wasn't at Mountain West Media Days. I was at American Media Days. I did talk to Memphis. I did talk to Wu. I did talk to Mike Montgomery. I did talk to Coach Huff. And there was just this feeling like going into there, I had no idea who I thought was going to win the American. I was leaning FAU. There was a couple other teams I liked, whether it was one of the military academies, but just being around Memphis, and we've always said like, yo, if the players are talking like the coaches, then they're believing in what the coach is saying. And the players at Memphis were talking about the coaches. If they had just picked a quarterback, I'd have still went UNLV, but I'm going to go Memphis. And I don't even know how I got out that he was the starter because I heard that Charles Huff told the team on Sunday who was going to be the starting quarterback. But to me, I don't think there was any surprises there. If you know who Marcus Stokes is.
It was a rumor. It was like, oh, yeah, like rumor that Marcus Stokes would be the starter. Then I seen D-Now sent it to the group chat. And I was like, oh, I just seen this. And I was like, okay. I'm like, it must be a real source then or something like that. So I'm like, well, Marcus Stokes probably going to be the starter if that's the case. I'm like, dang, sucks for Aaron Nolan. Also, we was talking about Aaron Nolan earlier. That made me think of Alex Mack. They're at Bama for 4 years? Never started.
Yeah. Yep.
Now getting, which I knew Keelan Russell. I feel like most people knew Keelan Russell was going to start. I mean, what, number 2 quarterback in the nation? There's no way they don't start him. Sorry, you've been there for 3 years. Yeah, you want to start. If you ain't starting now, you ain't starting then.
It's heartbreaking, but with the 5-for-5, I do believe that Austin Mack will get another opportunity elsewhere next year, and I'm excited for that. I just hope he picked the school.
I said Alex Mack, Austin Mack.
I know who you were talking about, bro. I don't be correcting people. We cool. So I look at him and I say to myself, all right, I hope he lands with the right G6 spot next year because there's some really exciting offenses that he can end up going to that I think that'll really fit his skill set.
They all look for players.
And I don't think he'll get playing time this year. He'll get ample playing time. He'll get ample tape, especially in some of those mop-up duty games, or let's say Keelan Russell struggles in a game. He'll get opportunities, but I'm excited for this week 0 slate. Me and Jalen gave our picks. We'll revisit this next week. I'm hoping next week we could possibly do 2 shows, maybe one recorded, one live, because there's so much to talk about for week 1. But let's go ahead and get into our college football playoff predictions. We have about roughly 12 minutes before we have to end today's episode. So talk to me about your top 4 teams in the playoff.
So top 4 teams was Miami, BYU, USC, and Oklahoma. I think because I didn't have mine seeded, and I know you do have yours seeded. Miami, Oklahoma, 1 and 2, USC 3, BYU 4.
Okay. All right. I love that. I love the list of teams. I do not have BYU in my bracket. We can talk about that. I do have USC in my bracket. I was afraid to put them as a conference winner, but I'm saying, hey, there's some way, shape, or form that, Big Ten will find a way to get a few extra teams in. So talk to me about the heavy hitters. Miami, I think that's a no-brainer. I think Oklahoma, if you've been paying attention to our show and what we believe defensively and what is the difference in Clemson, I think the difference in Clemson is that Brent Venables is no longer there. I think you can tell, right? And the job that he's done, not just in 2025. I think that's what people get confused about Brent Venables. The job that he did in 2024 is one of the best coaching jobs in all of football.
I mean, I was calling for his job a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years
Were
ago.
you?
I don't remember. Yeah, I did.
Because they had an impressive win over Alabama. The offense was horrible under Seth Littrell as their offensive coordinator. The offense got better last year, but I still think there's a lot of room for an improvement. You and I are both big on Oklahoma. We sung praises about Oklahoma a week ago. Talk to me about BYU.
I like BYU. It's a physical team. I think they got one of the better returning quarterbacks in the nation. I know you have some questions about what was said to the media, or it was the head coach asked for more resources, or asked like why they can't get more resources, or something that lines. But basically, hey, give me some more money so I can go get some more players. But yeah, like I really like what they got. They returning a good amount of production on both sides of the ball. I believe it was like 64-66 offense to defense percent. You look at it last year. Was it Texas Tech that beat them twice? I think, right? Beat them in the regular season and then beat them in the Big 12 championship game. I feel like Texas Tech isn't. The gap between them was obvious last year, like especially after they played that first game. This year, I feel like it's a even playing field with Texas Tech, maybe a slight edge, but I don't think BYU's too far behind. And I think BYU will play not mistake-free football against Texas Tech this year, but I think they will beat Texas Tech. And I will say Texas Tech, I don't know how much I feel I don't know how I feel about them now that Castellanos is there. Because I feel like if they bring him in, he might be the starter now. Yeah, so because just in case you don't know, you muted.
Nah, you good. My apologies. I was typing in our top four so they could see them, and we don't got to keep repeating them. So Jalen's top four teams, you got Miami at 1, Oklahoma at 2, USC at 3, BYU at 4. My top four, I have Indiana at 1, I have Miami at 2, I have Oklahoma at 3, I have Ohio State at 4 as the runner-up in the Big Ten. So I love a lot of what you had to say about BYU, and honestly, for everybody, it's pretty much BYU versus Texas Tech, and to bring in another quarterback, I think is almost a slap in the face to Will Hammond. I can understand if you're wanting death.
It's a big slap in the face.
But you're bringing a guy who ain't coming in to play second fiddle.
you already brought somebody in. Brennan Sword was supposed to be that person you brought in. Now you gonna bring in Thomas Castellano, man.
I will be so done. I promise you I would. So we both saying praises about Oklahoma. I tell you this, Miami is the scariest team in the field, because if they can click the way that they clicked last year, I think offensively they are exponentially better. I think when you look at Fletcher, I think he'll be better than last season. I think when you look at Darian Mensah, this is no disrespect to Carson Beck and all the Carson Beck fans. Darian Mensah clears Carson Beck. I promise you, he clears him. And then you bring in a target like Cooper Barcade, who is a guy that's going to make it a lot easier for Malachi Tony to navigate. So offensively, they're set. They got the players defensively, I think. And then Bryce Fitzgerald, as a true freshman last year, was lights out. Miami could be the scariest team in the field. We've sung our praises about Oklahoma. Talk to me about USC. I am big on USC this year, but I'm a punk. and I was afraid to say that they will win the Big Ten, but I do have them in my bracket. Talk to me about USC.
I look at it, Ohio State. I don't feel like I feel like they lost too much production on defense, and me and you have talked about that last week. Where you feel like they lost production, but they're good enough to where they're going to replace it, especially with the defensive coordinator being goodness, Matt Patricia. Um, and then they have offensive coordinator Arthur Smith now. But I feel like USC, Jay Mayava, they still have really good targets on the outside. Gary Patterson is now the defense coordinator. You talk highly about him. I just feel like, when I look at it, they can beat Oregon, they can beat Ohio State. Uh, I feel like this year they can really win the Big Ten, and I feel like they will. So I feel like USC, yeah, USC. I'm kind of comfortable with. Indiana is the question mark I have. Like that, that's the team where I look at USC. I'm like, can they beat them? When it comes down to it, can USC beat Indiana? I do not know. I do not know if they can.
It's an outstanding question because for a team that went 16-0 a season ago, win the championship, had back-to-back success years where they went to the playoff the first year, lost to Notre Dame, repeated that the second year when 16-0, brought a championship home to a university in football that has a losing record, and it's not close to being 500. So you look at what they done there, and the fact that they were able to retain their coordinators. How does that happen? How do you win a national championship and retain your coordinators? Like, that is really difficult to do.
Been there. Kirsten coordinators have been there, like, with him through thick and thin. Like,
yeah, and it's outstanding that they were able to do that. And I look at somebody in Josh Hoover, the intangibles are there, right? And I look at interception sometimes. It can be a loaded stat. It shouldn't be a loaded stat, but it can be a loaded stat. You get into Big 12 play, you're down a couple touchdowns. You're just trying to make plays happen, and the interceptions will come. But I promise you, the culture in Bloomington, they don't allow that type of activity. And you look at what they have on the outside. Turbo Richard at running back. On the outside, they still have Becker. Charlie Becker, and Nick Marsh is one of those guys I think that's going to emerge as one of those guys. Y'all forgot about Dre. Y'all forgot about Nick Marsh when he's up there struggling, in East Lansing because, Jonathan Smith and Aiden Childs couldn't quite get it together. I love what this team have offensively. Mike Shanahan has proven to be one of the best play callers in all of the sport. I think when you look at that, and then you look at Kirk Signetti and how insane this guy is, bro. Who says after they win a national championship, we will enjoy this for the night and we get started getting ready for next season the next day? He is not a human being. He's not real. Until I I've met Kirk Signetti, but I haven't had a conversation with him because I've been at a few JMU games and he was coaching. But until I shake that man's hand, he is not a human being in my mind. He's just not a human being, bro. Like, something is really wrong with bro. So, alrighty, so you have questions about Ohio State. I have questions about Ohio State. What I don't question is the talent. What I don't question is Matt Patricia. And what I no longer question is Ryan Day. And that scares me a little bit. Do I still have questions about Julian saying, yeah? I have questions about Dante Moore that people don't really want to discuss, right?
Yeah, I do too.
And I love Oregon's defensive line. I love their defense. They got the best front four in college football. And you add a guy like Corey Perch on the back end, I think he's going to have the same, if not a bigger impact than Dylan Dinneman had in that defensive system a year ago. But you lose your offensive coordinator, you lose your defensive coordinator, and you got Molly Watt by Indiana, and they retain their coordinators. I don't understand how that works. I just don't understand how that works. So for me, like, I look at a team like Oregon and say, I'm going to put you in a playoff because I see the potential in what you can do, but I'm not sold on Oregon. So give me the rest of your field. You gave me your top four. Give me the rest of your field.
So the rest of the field. Oh, by the way, I just want to say, Texas Tech treating Will Hammond like a girl that you should give a chance. You just not giving a chance to. You just talking to every other girl besides her. you texting her back, but every 5 hours.
You know what I want to say, but I'll say it after the show.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've both been there. So,
unfortunately, yes. And unfortunately for you, yes, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes you look back on you like, dang, maybe maybe I should have gave it.
I've been there a half few, yeah, but it's
Sometimes you
oh
like,
no,
oh yeah. See, sometimes you like, oh yeah, I dodged a bullet with that one.
yeah, it's like the Drake line, and You Can Thank Me Now song on this first album. Was this first album? It wasn't So Far Gone, was it?
I think it was So Far Gone.
No, it was it Thank Me Later? So Far Gone was like the mixtape,
like
and then Thank Me Later. Yeah, so he had a song called You Can Thank Me Now, and he said, "Aloha to women with no ties to men that I know well, that where there are no lies." I be in that moment sometimes, so I don't got time to talk to people, bro. Like that's just that's just be what it be, right? You know what I'm saying? There ain't nothing against them, is it? But you're right. That was a great parallel. So talk to me about the rest of your field.
Yeah. So Oregon, Georgia, Indiana, Ole Miss, Texas, Ohio State, Notre Dame. And you know what? I almost put Notre Dame out.
Do you know we have all of the same teams except for one?
Wait, let me guess.
In the field.
Let me guess. Ole Miss.
I told you earlier.
Texas?
I told you earlier. BYU. We have the exact same field other than BYU.
UNLV as my G. Wait, am I supposed to get my G? Oh no, I also
yeah. You can get your G6 out. So you got UNLV. I got UNLV as my G6, even though I just predicted them to lose. Kind of ironic, right? And I have Houston over BYU. I think Houston wins the Big 12. I told you guys a week ago. I feel strong about that prediction. I feel extremely strong because of who they have at head coach, Willie Fritz, what he was able to do for Tulane during this tenure there. I look at him and he has a chip on the shoulder. Mekhi Hughes has a chip on the shoulder. Connor Wegman, he has a chip on the shoulder. And I think Connor Wegman is a guy, when we're looking at the second Saturday in December in New York, when we're talking about the Heisman ceremony, I think he can put up those type of stats. I think Mekhi Hughes' reintroduction to college football is going to be outstanding. I think Amari Thomas, a stud that they have at wide receiver, is going to be amazing. So I picked them. And really my pick was BYU, and it was hands down BYU. And Kalani Sitake scared the living hell out of me because I got Kenny Dillingham vibes all over again. I said, whoa, let me trust my instinct. Let me go ahead and move BYU out the way, because you don't wait till fall camp to say, hey, we need more resources. That was probably something you should have said in January when you had the ability to go get more resources, or you could have went to a program that would have gave you the plentiful resources that you needed. That's all I have to say about that. So the fact that we have the same field, me and Jalen have not always seen college football the same. Very recently, we've started to see it similarly. So we have the same exact field other than one team. So I know you don't have your overall champion yet. I'll go over mine, and I'll give my picks. All right? So my first round matchups, 5-12 will be Notre Dame versus UNLV. 6-11 will be a matchup we saw in the CFP a season ago, Georgia versus Ole Miss. You don't have LSU in your field.
No.
I don't have LSU in my field. Why is that? Because you look at the resources, you look at what Coach Kiffin was able to do a season ago. He's been off of social media recently. A lot of signs point to, hey, this is going to be a really good football team. But I guess because BK got me, I'm not letting Lane Kiffin get me. I think Lane Kiffin clears him as a coach. Make no mistake about it. But I don't know. It's just interesting that you and I both left LSU out of the field. I've seen people have them winning the championship, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I just know how I feel about them. New coach, different team. I get you got some of the same players from last year, that LSU team, but you got some new players. How will they perform in the SEC? Too many question marks to make a college football playoff appearance, in my opinion. At least preseason wise.
That's fair. I love that. So let me get back to my bracket. Like I said, the first round, I got Notre Dame versus UNLV, and that'll be in South Bend. Of course, Ole Miss will have to travel to Georgia because these are the opening round matchups. Oregon at 10th seed is where I have Oregon. Will have to travel to H-Town, and then I got USC traveling to Texas, right? And so I have Notre Dame winning. I have UGA going, at home in Athens winning. I have Houston in H-Town defeating Oregon, and I have Texas versus USC. I give it to Texas. The quarterfinals, we got 1v8. That's Indiana versus Texas. Give me Indiana. 2-7, Miami versus Houston. Give me Miami. 3-6. Neutral State, all of these games are. I have Oklahoma winning that, and then 4-5, Notre Dame will beat Ohio State, in my opinion. For the semifinals, we will have Indiana versus Oklahoma, Miami versus Notre Dame. Give me Oklahoma. Give me Notre Dame. I think we got Oklahoma, Notre Dame championship, and then Oklahoma wins it all. Who do you have? Well, I know you didn't do your bracket, but who do you think will win it all?
Okay, so as you was talking, I was also going through my list. I was like, listen, BYU, they getting out of their first game.
Okay. At home?
Yep.
Okay.
USC doesn't make it past the second round of
no,
or past the third round, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
If they do make it past second round, UNLV loses first round. Oregon loses first round.
I have them out in the first round too.
Ole Miss advances. Texas advances.
I like that. I like that.
Notre Dame, I think, would advance. And Indiana, I don't. It all depends.
You don't know. Yeah.
I feel like Indiana advances. I want to say Notre Dame doesn't. Because Notre Dame would probably be the fifth seed, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on who Notre Dame play. Honestly, I feel like if Notre Dame play anybody but UNLV in my bracket, Notre Dame probably loses, except for Oregon.
Right.
But yeah, I think my Final Four was when I decided. I was like Miami, Indiana, Texas, and then it was either Ohio State or Georgia.
Okay.
And I want to go Miami as the winner. I just don't want to trust Mario Cristobal.
I know you don't want to, but I promise you there was a difference in him. When he reached the playoff last year, there was just this degree of excellence. We saw how they walked into ACC Media Days. I think if you have any of the following teams winning the national championship, I can say, okay, there's an argument. If you have Indiana, there's an argument. If you have Ohio State, there's an argument. I may disagree with it, but there's an argument. Texas, I think there's an argument. Oklahoma, I think there's an argument. But when you say, okay, what team has the strongest argument? It might be Miami. If you look at a team that has the strongest argument, like if you were to debate it, Miami, like when I tell you they're loaded offensively, they are loaded offensively, and Darian Mensah's going to put up yards in bunches. Those are our week 0 predictions and CFP bracket. Jalen, you can get the final word today, man. What you got going on this weekend, and what's been on your mind?
The Chronic is overrated album. Dr. Dre and all that good.
Hold on. That message ain't approved by me. This is his thoughts, so go ahead and say it again, and I'm gonna solo you, dog.
I said the Chronic, overrated album. Dr. Dre is not that good. Dre Day, that beat was okay, I guess, but he didn't do too much different to it. What else should I say? I've been thinking. This year, I'm excited for the NFL this year. Patrick Mahomes is on the downside of his career. People just don't know it yet. People just don't know it yet. That's about it.
Did you see the AI pictures of Caleb Williams?
He's talking about the uniforms. I see them. By the way, everybody love the uniforms. I would say the uniforms trash. The uniforms are garbage.
Yo, what I say? The craziest thing is, in my head, I had to say, "Is this AI?" Instead of like automatically knowing this AI, I was like, "Oh no, oh boy, out of control." And I was like, "Nah, this is AI, bro."
Should have sent to the group chat, but like Boogie, what your man's on?
Boogie would have lost it. He took a picture like these. Hey man, I'm telling you, man, the internet is undefeated.
By the way, Bears missed the playoffs this year. Everybody quit hyping them up. They had a fluke season last year. They beat a whole bunch of non-good defensive teams. It's cool.
Out of everything you said today, that's probably the most incorrect. Man, they gonna make the playoff, bro. DJ Moore not there no more. they gonna make the playoffs, bro. I promise you, they gonna make the playoffs, man.
I mean, we about 2 weeks.
But I'm an NFL casual. I don't know nothing.
That debate again. The Patriots will win the division.
Yeah, it's time for that debate. I don't think there's much of a debate, but we can discuss it.
So you agree? The Patriots gonna win the division too?
No, I think Bills win by a landslide. I don't think it's close, bro. I don't think it's close. I really don't. And we got a tougher schedule than y'all, but I don't think it's close.
Y'all, everybody got a tougher schedule than us usually. We always play like a little weaker schedule. I will.
Yeah, that's because you guys the Crabs are really cool with Commissioner Goodell, and yeah, you guys always get a lighter schedule. Y'all won the division last year, but somehow we have a tougher schedule than you are. That don't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get back to running the division again this year. I don't know if you've seen the bromance between DJ Moore and Josh Allen, but it's a reason to be excited up there in Western New York.
Yeah, and DJ Moore isn't this locker room cancer that people try to claim him out of.
No, but sometimes you can be a locker room cancer, bro. Like sometimes it's you, and that's okay. It was him in Chicago. It won't be him in Buffalo. Because the respect level is different. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Like, so.
Forgot y'all got a new head coach, too. Joe Brady. Or
Yeah, my dog.
Yeah, Joe Brady, yeah. Forgot y'all got a new head coach. Sean McDermott, not the head coach there no more. I always forget that.
And Sean McDermott shouldn't have been fired, full disclosure. You know how I know he shouldn't have been fired? Yeah, owner and the GM the very next day made a statement. And you know, some things should just stay behind closed doors, I think, with programs or like with entities, right? I always say you should be a brand ambassador first when you have a brand over an analyst. That, you know, don't let your takes consume your thought process, and because it impacts the others on your brand. And yeah, they let some things that were internal become external. They were saying, okay, well, yeah, some of those picks weren't Brandon Beane picks. Bro, he's the general manager, right? Like, why are we saying this, right? And they were talking directly about Kenyon Coleman. It's like, to me, that it made us look weak. Like, you guys are upset that people are pissed off that we fired Sean McDermott, and now you guys are making statements. Like, man, come on, bro. Made men ain't supposed to make statements. Like, what's your boy name?
Oh.
No, don't say it. Don't say it. We was playing the game, I think yesterday or the day before, and we was talking about a certain case, and you called somebody. So,
yeah, I forgot he listened. He think he soon gonna stick on you too. Oh, you said you did what in 2002?
Hey man, that man red Durkee on his Miranda rights. Cuz out there crazy, man. But y'all have a good show. I will see you live if you're watching NC State game. Look for me on the sideline. I'll be there, man. Y'all have a good one.